What I am going to talk about is something that in my wildest dreams, I never thought I would be discussing. And that is the need to make certain that the President of the United States, if he loses this election, will abide by the will of the voters and leave office peacefully. Now, I do understand that Donald Trump is a billionaire, or so he tells us. I do understand that he was born to a very wealthy family, and from his earliest days was able to get anything he wanted because his family was rich and his family was powerful. I do understand that when you're rich and you're powerful, you don't have to pay taxes like ordinary people, and that it's easy for you to avoid the military draft. I do understand that when you're rich and you're powerful, you can buy politicians and get hundreds of millions of dollars in corporate welfare for your real estate empire. But this I also understand. No matter how rich or powerful you may be, no matter how arrogant and narcissistic you may be, no matter how much you think you can get anything you want, let me make this clear to Donald Trump. Too many people have fought and died to defend American democracy, and you are not going to destroy it. The American people will not allow that to happen.
Bernie, it's great to see you again, not under these circumstances, but he was extremely passionate in that speech, and I recommend that everybody watch the full thing because I think it's incredibly important. Trusting Bernie Sanders on political issues like this never steers you wrong. So Bernie Sanders has been right about numerous things throughout history when it comes to politics and having foresight and understanding dangers. He was correct about the Iraq War. He was correct about climate change, talking about it in the 80s. He was correct about don't ask, don't tell in the military, LGBTQ rights over and over again. He's been correct. Universal health care. So probably a good bet to take him seriously about Trump trying to potentially steal the election. Listen to what he said. Take him at his word. As Bernie Sanders said in that speech, he has not committed to a peaceful transition of power and has over and over again stoked the flames of fake ballots, of election fraud that is a fiction, a mass fiction. So I'm hammering this because I'm not one to be hyperbolic about Donald Trump. I get so annoyed about the media being frustrated by his decorum and his rudeness. Sometimes I think it's funny, to be honest with you. I don't mind that aspect of him. What I do mind is the racism, the authoritarianism, the corporatism, the corruption, and the anti-democratic tendencies of this guy. He is dangerous, and this is a clear and present danger that we all need to be uniting behind here. He will, if he has the opportunity, if it isn't a landslide, if it's close, attempt to steal the election. And Bernie Sanders is making it as clear as possible here. President Trump declined for a second straight day to commit to a peaceful transition of power if he lost the election, repeating baseless assertions that the voting would be a big scam, even as leading Republicans scrambled to assure the public that their party would respect the Constitution. We want to make sure that the election is honest, and I'm not sure that it can be, Mr. Trump told reporters on Thursday before leaving the White House for North Carolina. The president doubled down on his stance just hours after prominent Republicans made it clear that they were committed to the orderly transfer of power without directly rebuking him. Chris Edelson, an American University professor who has studied the expansion of presidential power during national emergencies, said Mr. Trump's comments represented a unique threat to a central pillar of democracy. It's impossible to underscore how absolutely extraordinary the situation is. There are really no precedents in our country, he said. This is a president who has threatened to jail his political opponents. Now he is suggesting he would not respect the results of an election. These are serious warning signs. Douglas Brinkley, the presidential historian, said, "This may be the most damaging thing he has ever done to American democracy." And that's saying a lot. Donald Trump has spent his entire life in the political scene destroying the difference between fact and fiction. he has completely muddied the waters to such an extent that people are unable to see up from down, left from right anymore when we're talking about what is correct and true and what is just made up. He has destroyed that, perhaps irreparably. I have no idea, because the Democrats don't make their case. They've allowed him to completely break apart the framing when it comes to what's true and what's not. And that's not even the most dangerous thing that he's done. The most dangerous thing is him floating the idea that he may not leave power based on those fake accusations, based on those fake premises that he's repeated over and over and gotten 35% of the country to believe is absolutely true. He is now weaponizing the misinformation that he has planted like bombs throughout the country, like landmines. And eventually they're all just going to explode if we aren't diligent in the way that Sanders is talking about here. I cannot emphasize this enough. You guys know, I'll give Trump credit when he does something that I agree with. This is scary, and we've seen hints of it with the Insurrection Act, with the sending of federal officers onto protesters. We have seen that he can go there if given the opportunity. And this Supreme Court vacancy and everything he said up to this point, especially in these recent weeks, is indicating that if he's able to, he will go there. Listen to Bernie Sanders. This isn't a time to be flippant about Trump. This is a time to take him at his word.